Hey, 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 my LinkedIn family, friends who are tuning in from Clubhouse. If you guys prefer the audio only, stay here for the listening session. If you guys are on LinkedIn, know the drill. You guys have been on my weekly or even bi-weekly LinkedIn Live every single week supporting me. You guys know the drill. If you guys can just give me a thumbs up, leave a comment on the comment box where you're dialing in from. The fact that most of you are based out of different areas of the world, I'm so excited to have you guys here. And today, I'm going to have an extra special guest with me. So bring your question because he is huge on LinkedIn. And just to give you guys an update today, I am very, very sorry that Edward couldn't make it because he's actually based in Texas, Houston, and they have the most biggest historical winter snowstorm. And he's facing some power shortage and Wi-Fi situation. So he couldn't be able to make it to my LinkedIn live show. I know, right? First ever live show. I'm bringing in a guest that something happened. But guys, hold your horses because I am just over the moon. My amazing best LinkedIn friend is here to join me today, who I met actually on LinkedIn too. Jonathan Tesser is joining me as my extra special guest today. So I'm super excited. And yeah, I'm going to bring him over and you guys can see him and have a chat. Awesome. Hey, I see some people.
Hi.
Hey, John. How is it going?
I'm good, Salina. Anything to support you. I'm excited to hang out with you for an hour. That's really all this is. Just amazing fun. Wonderful. And we're just going to have a blast like we always do. And everybody's going to be like, why are these two having so much fun? And then they're going to want to join in. And that's what's going to be.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to, just massive kudos and shout out to you for, really helping me on running the show because I know it will be quite a lot of people joining. And I see some LinkedIn user, I don't know your name, but there for the live caption, I am here for the LinkedIn events page. Awesome. Guys, if you guys are dialing in from LinkedIn, just let me know if you can see me and John here. Like I said, I have this very special guest lining up, very last minute. John, thank you so much for joining because my friend Edward, he's having an accident because he's based in Texas. Just for the people that are dialing in from Clubhouse, I see 6 of you already, just letting you know. If you guys want to see us live, just go back to LinkedIn and you will see me and John. And we'll be discussing so much interesting topic today. And to start with, John, I would like to know, what are the 3 fun facts about you that is not on your LinkedIn?
Selena's really putting me on the spot here, guys. Okay, so let's do this. Number 1, I was put on this earth. My mission and purpose in life was to whistle. I'm a world-class whistler. I don't think people know that. I don't think they care to know that. I don't think anybody even wants to hear whistling. They hate it. So we all have special talents that, make us like Mozart, but mine is whistling. That's really sad. That's number 1. Let's see. Number 2, I used to have 2 cats named after. Now, unfortunately, it's 1. I didn't mean to make this a sad thing, but the cat passed away, I don't know, 4 months ago. But they were named after Beatles songs. So we had Lucy and Michelle.
Awesome! Wow, love that.
Okay. And we need a
Michelle
third.
With you now, or?
Well, Michelle, unfortunately, was a big fat cat, and I think her heart stopped working. So we have the 1 cat, and actually I have a LinkedIn post coming out about the cat who's still alive, who drives me crazy because she pees everywhere. We don't need to talk about that, though. That's not why people are zoomed into this. Oh, and you need a third fact.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Do you have any questions for me? I don't even know what a third fun thing would be. I only came up with 2.
You have so many amazing story. I'm pretty sure your fans will love to hear from you too.
Oh, okay. Here's a fun one. I am a typical New Yorker. in the fact that I have a driver's license, but I literally don't know how to drive.
Oh my gosh. What? Okay.
Yes.
I'm a city girl as well that I have the longest time that I don't necessarily need to know how to drive. So it's same for me. And now in Europe, I force myself that I need to learn how to drive or else I'm not like getting out of
Yeah,
anywhere.
else you can't leave the house. See, that's why I stay in New York City and don't go anywhere, and then
Yeah.
talk to people like Salina around the world. So yeah, I think that's good. We got through 3 fun facts. And we survived.
Amazing. Thank you, John. For guys, thank you so much for dialing. I want to put on some really cool friends here just joining. Yay for the live caption. And then, hey, Anthony, thank you so much for joining. Much love to you as well. And I know another person that at work to be here. Like I said earlier, he's stuck in Texas with no Wi-Fi and no electricity. So I hope you guys are sending him some love. But today I managed to get John in my live show. So really, really kudos to him for really helping me. And Car, so happy that you can join us and our hashtag LinkedIn BFF. Awesome. So John, do you want to know my 3 fun facts that is not on LinkedIn?
About you? Of course I do. Tell me
Yes.
about your 3 fun facts.
So
it's a chance to learn about unlock your full potential.
Yeah. Yes. And John actually gave me this name,
UYFP.
So that's my
your last name.
Special name now. Great. Great. Anthony is saying hello again. John. Great. So 3 fun facts. The very first fact is I am so obsessed with everything Italian. So I decided to move to Milan during my study for a month in Milan, Italy. And I learned, again, I'm just so obsessed about their food and culture. So I learned how to make risotto, like gnocchi, ravioli. So that was like really, really fun month for me. So that's one of the fun fact that you won't possibly find on my LinkedIn profile. The other fun fact is I was actually a TV host for a national food channel for 3 months. And I'm not going to share with you which channel or else I would be really embarrassed because
I'm going to have to do some YouTube stalking of Salina Unlock Your Full Potential on YouTube to find out this hosting. This has got to happen.
Totally. And yeah, but it was really fun. It was a fun channel, but not a lot of people are supporting. So obviously, after 3 months, they're no longer continue with me. And the last fun fact is I met Maggie Q in LA. If you're a big fan of Maggie Q, I am. Yeah. I mean, she's not very, very big she's only big in Asia, I believe. And we watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at Pacific Cinema Theater on the Sunset Boulevard. So like basically sitting with my, like as a little fangirl watching a movie with a Hollywood celebrity. So that's some of the fun fact that I like. Yeah.
Good ones.
Yes.
I approve.
Great. So glad that I have your approval.
I know, John. It's really important. I understand. My approval means everything. I got it. It's a big deal.
Absolutely. Yes. So John, tell me about your story. I'm pretty sure your fans and also my LinkedIn audience would love to know more about you.
Oh boy, it's such a broad question. Okay, well, I have a professional story, which is I'm a data guy / researcher, and my goal in life is to use data to understand people, and more than just understand them, but actually try and do research to like figure out who they really are. So that's like my day job. That's the stuff that pays me the money. So I get to hang out with Salina. And I have 20 years working in data and research, doing basically anything that you can think of. It covers the entire gamut at this point, from market research to web analytics, social listening. It's going to bore your audience, so I'll stop. But the point is that I'm the guy first.
But how do you get into the data job? I'm just very intrigued. Like,
oh my
20
goodness.
years is a long
I
time.
don't, Salina, come on. That's a whole nother conversation. We could spend 50 minutes talking about how to get a job in data. The
There's
answer
something
to the
so close to
question
your heart
is,
about
well,
getting a
yeah,
job.
I mean, that's right. The answer is know what you want to do in data and why you want to do it. A lot of data students and a lot of people get into data and they're just like, oh, I heard I can make a lot of money looking at numbers. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, maybe, but if you don't love it, you don't know why you want to do it, maybe don't go into data. I actually had a post about that. So when I say why I do data, I'm driven by the social psychological element of data and research. And I talk about it as sort of a life mission for me to understand people, and I get to do my job to do that. So that's one side of me. Second side of me is, and I think you guys have already seen a little bit of this, is I do some career coaching, mostly with young professionals, to help them figure out what the right job is and career is for them based on who they are. So I have something called a career whispering sessions that I do. It's not a full-time job. It's something I do out of enjoyment. And then people really enjoy the process and they go through really like giant transformations working with me only for a couple hours. It's kind of crazy. They're like, oh, I was doing this and I'm going to go do this. And I'm like, great, you got your money's worth.
Wow.
And that's the second side of me. And then the third side that people see on LinkedIn and the side that I share quite often is authenticity. And this idea of personal development and understanding emotional intelligence, understanding who we are, understanding our relationships with ourselves and our emotions, how to grow as people. That's really how I built my fan base up, which is very, very different content. And I think actually does translate very well into the purpose of this, which is the community building. And the community that I have is very, I made a LinkedIn group back when those were a thing, and I called it the self-aware professional. How do you bring your knowledge of yourself into your career and your job and your choices, both on the day, dealing with people, and for the longer term? How do you find meaning? So yeah, that's a quick summary of me. Those are the three sides of myself that I talk about as a person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so intrigued, and I have tons of questions, John, in terms of follow up. Like, so data, right? It's such a. I mean, to me, I'm no data girl at all. To me, I'm just like a very people person, as you know. How do you first drawn to data, and how do you know, like you said, the bigger part is passion, right? How do you really know you're so passionate about data initially?
Yeah, I'm not passionate about data. I'm passionate about data because it tells me stories about people. Because Salina, I have the same people obsession that you do. I take calls with people around the world. Actually, today I have 4 different calls with people around the world. So
no way.
this morning I covered off on Saudi Arabia and India.
Wow.
Now I have you in Luxembourg, and then I have Albania/Greece at 2 o'clock. So the interest for me is people within culture, right? And so using data as a way to understand and explore that, not just through conversations with people, but to use actual data that an analysis of people's behaviors helps me to understand them. So that's why I got into data and research. But yeah, that I could, the numbers, I'm also, as a musician, I'm really good at picking up patterns in data and explaining them and figuring out, oh, this matches to this. It's just one of those things that, music people can do really easily.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Wow, this is incredible. And I wish I am more into data like you do, that I can sort of know the story behind that of other people's, because I don't know how to get that. Like I just enjoy having conversation with different people like yourself and learning about their culture, but fundamentally I don't know how to draw those data out, to get to know more about the other side.
Yeah, not to call you out, Salina, but I think there's a large part of the working population that, what you're actually saying to me, if I'm interpreting, is I'm scared. You're scared of the numbers because they're numbers and they intimidate you, and you're not people, right? And I think for a lot of marketing and salespeople and people who say, I'm not into data, I know people, I think there's just a fear that numbers are scary. But once you start
Actually,
getting used to
true.
them and reading, like what, reading data is just, it's not that different from reading a book, right? You get used to reading it, understanding it. It's an artistic canvas in the same way that creating art is, or reading a book. So once you get used to the idea that like data is not scary and intimidating, you can start to really have a lot of fun with it. And it's really sad that data people kind of like to push this idea that data should be scary and you need a PhD in machine learning to even touch numbers, but it's not true.
Yeah.
I don't have a PhD in anything. I've been working in data for 20 years and, I'm good at it. I know how to do analysis, but I'm not anything special. And I don't, I think that's the element that you have to get over.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is the biggest advice for me as well as the audience to really understand how to not be scared of data? Because you're so right. Like when I see tons of number, the very first thing is like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to deal with it. And I have my business partner and I would just throw it to him and he would just give me, well, these are some of the things that we need to do based on those data.
I think start with something you care about, right? So if you're on LinkedIn, right, and you're paying attention to your views and your comments, and so you can actually use like audience numbers, right, to start your data analysis, and you can start like for you, Salina, you can start to categorize your posts on LinkedIn, and you can say, okay, so when I write about this, I get this number of views. When I write about this, I get this number of views. When I do something this time of the week, I do get these kind of views and these kind of engagements, right? And then you start to actually become a data analyst for yourself. And it's like, oh, well, I'm looking at numbers because it benefits me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, those kind of baby steps.
Yeah, I have been doing that. So this is data, actually.
You're doing data analysis when you do that. And then you're coming to conclusions on, oh, when I do this, I do better. Right? When I do this, I do worse. And so you're actually being a data analyst doing that. You're still working with numbers. You're just doing, it's on a very basic level, right? LinkedIn, Salina is one of my favorite topics. She knows that. LinkedIn doesn't give you very much data to work with compared to a lot of the other social networks, e.g. Facebook and Twitter. So we can't really go too far in understanding our content performance and the people who visit, which is really unfortunate. And they haven't fixed it and they probably won't. But, that kind of data analysis is the stuff that I would wish I could do on the network.
Yeah. This is a great point. And thank you for letting me know, because I thought what I'm doing right now, which I have a spreadsheet, and I know some of my clients here is actually dialing in as well. I've been having my spreadsheets, which I share with them how they can basically test and experiment which engagement or which type of post actually reacts or engage most touch with their audience. And somehow I have been putting, the number of views and then teaching them what's the engagement rate looks like. I guess that's actually data then.
You're doing data analysis. You're already doing it. See, you didn't even think of it as data analysis. You thought of it as just doing LinkedIn, but you're actually an analyst. You're looking, and that's literally all data analysis is. It's interpreting the data so that you can decide to do something differently or go along the same track. And the reason I can talk so, I don't offer this, but the reason I can talk so comfortably about this with non-data people is actually I created a course for like marketers and salespeople and people who say, I don't do data. And I'm like, well, actually you do. And here's a methodology and how to do it. And you don't need to be as scared, and we'll walk through it. And people are like, oh yeah, that's great. So I think that it's called data literacy, which I think is annoying. It's just called like not being scared of data. Like, let's just give it that name. I think everybody needs a course on how to not be so scared of numbers, and then to embrace them as much as they do, human connection.
Absolutely. And what's your courses called, John?
Oh God, I don't have I don't know. It's retired, but it was called Insights Bootcamp. Because I teach you how to find the insights, right? So the stuff that we're talking about, Salina, I work with clients, and then, we would say, okay, well, what are you trying to do? Who's the stakeholder? What's the thing, the mind that you need to change, all of that stuff that comes with working with data, because it's all about people at the end of the day, and what they need from it.
Amazing. Wow. That's exciting. I definitely need to check out your courses. And I mean, thank you, John, for letting me know I have been actually drilling on data each day for my clients, as well as for some of my corporate clients, and not knowing I have been actually drilling on data. I always think
Yeah.
data is like, I don't know, like graph charts, things
Yeah,
like
you're a
that.
data analyst. You're good.
Okay, great, great. Thank you, John. And the other follow-up questions I want to ask, like, why a career coach? Because I know for a fact that you support a lot of like young professional, especially young women like myself in particular. And I am just super grateful about having your support. I mean, I'm really looking up to you as sort of like a mentor. And like, why are you so passionate about this, and what get you to doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking great questions. You're right. So, anybody who doesn't know me on this show, my particular passion is around helping young women find careers, typically, between the ages, I don't want to say 18, like usually a little older, 20 to 26 is the range of most of the women that I work with. I tend to help out women from more disadvantaged backgrounds and women of color as a way to give back. We don't need to get into the reasons for that, but a lot of it has to do with the gratefulness and the appreciation that comes along from that particular segment of people. I have very, very strong views that if you come from privilege, you have less gratefulness and appreciation for what people do. There's a certain level of expectation. I've written about that a lot on LinkedIn. So I believe that. The reason I'm passionate about what I do and why I work with this population is I believe inherently in this idea that who we are can help decide what career we should have. And being able to do that with people who want to, go inside themselves, because that's what my sessions are, and ask questions about relationships and why people describe themselves the way they do. Is really that kind of exciting transformation process that I get to do with my clients is really, really fulfilling. And it's why I still do it. And I'm fairly rigid about like the kind of career coaching I do is very different from basically everybody out there, right? A lot of career coaches are like, take this as self-assessment test and then you fit into these things. And then let's get into the stuff that I know you're paying for, which is resumes and cover letters and LinkedIn, like tactical, right? And I'll prepare you for interviews and that's fine. But I don't like to do that stuff. I want to do the self-discovery and the tough questions. And I don't know. My favorite thing, Salina, is when a client comes to me and they say, you know what, John, I'm graduating. I don't really know what I want to do. And I'm like, oh, you're sold.
Which is 99% of people are like that. And you're so right. I still remember right fresh from college, the first thing I was like, shit, what am I going to do now? Like I have graduated. I don't know which direction I should be going. So I guess that's something that it's super important. I mean, would you say that in a way that you're really healing spiritually to younger, younger generation in terms of what direction and just go beyond?
It's more spiritual and psychological and life coaching than it is career coaching. It's really this idea that you can step out into this scary world and know that who you are is good enough as you are. I have rules in my session, Salina, where I say to the young women, because that's who are my clients, I say to the young women, and I say there's no negative self-talk allowed in my sessions. You are not allowed to insult yourself. You are not allowed to say this is bad. You are not allowed to say I am shameful because of this. You are just allowed to say that this is something that I do and this is who I am. That's acceptable. But I do not allow these value statements of bad and societal definitions of bad to come into my sessions. I think a lot of young women really beat themselves up about things. And there's a culturally ingrained thing where it's like, okay to say, I'm not good at this and I don't have confidence. I'm like, no, that's not allowed in my sessions with me.
I love that. I find women tend to, I mean, in a way, not beating up themselves up, but they just thought that if they're very forward or they're like, oh, I'm so good at this, they will, I mean, including myself, sometimes I fall a little bit like that as well. It's not that we're not self-love or not feeling self-worth. It's more like, would I be too forward thinking when I say that, sorry, I'm the best of this area, and feeling not, really taking 100% of the ownership of what you're really good at. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. There's a culturally accepted thing where women, have to demurs, I think is the word you're looking for. Women have to shrink into themselves, right? Like that's what society wants them to do. They have to not be so loud, otherwise they're going to be seen as too brash or arrogant or something like that. But what I say to that is, you're looking for a job and you're competing against people who have no problem talking themselves up. Why are you going to put yourself at a disadvantage? I mean, I understand that it's not an easy thing to do, but my job really is to let the young women that I work with and talk to have a comfortable place where they can really own how great they are. And Salina, you've known me long enough for me to know that I will constantly remind you how great you are, even if it makes you uncomfortable.
And I love that. True, so true. I don't know what is it that I find among my girlfriends, even though they're super competent people and they are just so good at what they're doing, but we have that, like you say, the facade, that that shadow, that knowing there's more better people than we do, and we don't take ownership of how good we are, and we just don't say that, and I like that you point out we should be more empowering and understanding that we're really good at what we're doing, and just be proud of it.
Exactly. And I think it's why I enjoy working with women as well. I think I enjoy helping, to facilitate that self-love and that confidence and that acceptance, because it's great that I can play a part in that. I don't want to be the source of it, but I want to be sort of the pushing, right? That's what a coach is. I want to push you in that direction, that you're okay with it and that you're okay being okay with yourself. I try not to be like, well, I'm part of the process. When I do work with clients, what I say to them is, I'm just a facilitator. You have no need to impress me. And actually, I tell clients, I'm like, stop trying to impress me. Stop trying to say the right things. Just say what you feel right now, and I'll facilitate and I'll connect dots from you, and I'll point things out that maybe you don't know. But you get that from within. I just point out things you may not see.
Yeah, but that's tough though. I agree. Like if women is trying to impress everybody around them, and including myself sometimes, and as a coach, it's difficult to basically gear their mindset to say that, hey, it's okay, I'm the coach, I'm giving you a direction, I'm giving you sort of what's the best next step for you to move forward with, whatever that you want to dream to become, or in career perspective and things like that, and to not be just impressing you, but being really working on themselves.
I tell them to stop trying to impress me. I literally say to some clients, because these are young women, right? And I literally say to them, I'm not interviewing you, and you don't have to give me the right answer. I'm not here to be impressed. I'm here to learn about you and to point things out to you about you. That's my job as a facilitator. I'm not here to sit in judgment whether you're good enough or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love that. Love that. Oh, so cool, John. Thanks so much for sharing your story and how you, really a story become the 3 parts that you share with us, like you're the dater guy and you love what you're doing, and now you're a career coaching, and plus you have a digital course about teaching people how to use dater well. And I mean, myself included today, I just blown away that I have been actually analyzing data without myself knowing. So I hope the audience, plus the Clubhouse fans, plus YouTube and Facebook, whatever that we're streaming from, you guys really learned that it's actually not scary. You just need to get started. If you are afraid of doing what you're doing, just reach out to John. You guys have his link here on LinkedIn. And
I'm Jonathan on LinkedIn. I'm Jonathan Professor, because it's very serious sounding and authoritative. And then in real life, I'm John. Yes.
And I love that about that. Great. John, I want to ask you more about, like growing an engagement community. I mean, which is, I'm sorry to put you in the spot today, but
no,
since,
I'm happy to do it.
Great. My partner, Edward is not here, just to let you guys know, because he's in Texas. I know some people are dialing in a little bit later. He's in Texas and he had shortage of power shortage problem as well as Wi-Fi. So I'm so grateful to have joined Jonathan Tesser joining me today as a special guest. So John, tell me what's it like, how do you like, or your process of growing and engaging community? When do you started it? I'm pretty sure everyone would like to learn from you.
I have a really funny story. I'm going to admit this, but then I can't have anybody, and I think you asked already.
Did I?
Yeah, well, so hold on. I'm going to tell this story because this is a great story of how to build an engaging community. So people may not know this. I'm probably one of the more open, authentic, raw voices on LinkedIn, right? So I share things about myself. I constantly am not putting myself down, but I'm saying these are things that I've worked on. These are areas where I've gotten better, all of this stuff, right? I'm very, very big proponent of learning and absorbing and growing and being very honest about who I am, okay? However, one of the things is there's a limit to that level of honesty that I can share publicly without literally losing everything. And so what I decided to do, and this does answer your question, Salina, I'll get around to it. Just be patient for 2 seconds. What I decided to do is I wanted to create an anonymous blog and an anonymous persona where I could talk about things that I care about, that if it was to be identified with John Tesser, I could lose everything. But as an anonymous person, I can write about it, and I don't care how people respond because it's not me, it's some made up person. So I started writing about certain topics that I find to be too taboo to share. And what I did to build up my community, to your point, was I decided to go on Reddit. And I was like, oh, I think, you know what? If I go on Reddit and I talk about the stuff that I'm writing in my blog to people who care about this stuff, I'm going to build up my audience. And guess what, Salina? I did my first Reddit post yesterday, and you're going to love this. I got banned right after I did the post.
Oh my gosh.
But I did the first post, and the engagement was off the charts. And I got 400 people to come to my website as an anonymous person. And I got, before they banned my post, it was up to 250 upvotes, which is a lot on Reddit, right?
Oh, it is. So, it is.
And this was the first time I'd ever posted on Reddit. But what I did was I matched up the content that I think these people would care about. And then I wrote a post, and then I linked them to my website where I also write about the things that they care about. Yeah. And I think now, literally, I just gave away the keys to building up a community. When you touch something that people have at the top of their minds and believe in and feel and deeply care about, right, as a part of their identity, and you show that you have something of value to give them about that something, you're going to build a community. Because they're going to be like, I care about this, and this dude told me something I may not have known about. Or, ooh, he has a really interesting perspective. He's adding value to my life about that thing I care about, right? Yeah. And this is the thing that people have a very hard time with on LinkedIn, which is to think of a community as not at all about them, right?
Yeah.
I'm very like...
Think about the audience.
I make the point. I have grown an audience from 15,000 at the beginning of last year to 105,000 almost now.
Wow. Incredible.
Only using text posts.
Yeah.
Just text.
Amazing.
And the point I'm making here is that people seem to think that a personal brand is about building up themselves, and so they throw videos out there and they throw graphics and they're like, they're loud, right? I'm jumping up and down for those who can't see me, but really all you gotta do is touch somebody's identity with the content that you're writing, and they're gonna say, I gotta take that guy seriously. I want to learn more, and I'm gonna follow what he's doing. That's how you build a community. And the beautiful thing, Salina, not to keep rambling on, hopefully this is interesting for your audience. The beautiful thing is I make points in my post, And I've been doing this for so long that I got regular commenters coming on dropping some brilliant stuff, right?
Amazing.
In addition to what I say, which I'm like, I'm just sharing my thoughts. And then they come and they say, yes, and they say, oh, have you thought of it this way? Or I just read this article about this. And I'm like,
I mean, me included, I'm one of your little fans that have been commenting a lot of your posts and love what you're saying. Yeah, totally.
But so then you're building the community, and the community starts to take over. So you build up the brand, you bring in the people who care about the stuff, and then they start adding their own things on top. And the beautiful thing about LinkedIn and not Reddit is the fact that you got a professional demeanor that has to be maintained. So you don't have as many trolls, and you don't have as many people hating for no reason. So you can have these civil conversations back and forth. Whereas on Reddit, like I did my first post yesterday, people were telling me some terrible things about me.
Oh no!
But that's why LinkedIn community is great.
Downfall, right? Like think about their user experience. Like for LinkedIn, the 5 emoji, or what we call the reaction, is everything positive. But like back in Reddit, it's totally different game, like ball game, right? They have downfall. The whole sort of like mindset of people are very, very different. So so
they just seem like they're geared to hate. It's insane. They just want to hate on people. And that's why I kept writing back to the comments, because I wasn't used to it. I'm on Reddit. I'm writing back to the comments. I'm like, I'm happy to be the source of your rage-fueled anger. They're so angry. They're so angry at me. And I'm like, I just wrote a post that's just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
like you're expressing a lot of anger towards somebody you don't even know. I'm so sorry you have to be that way. Which is how I respond.
You know what is really funny though, now that you say that, I believe it's because Reddit just allows so much fake accounts happening, but not on LinkedIn, right? Which you are not anonymous at all. You take accountability. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're posting, show certain characteristic as well as personalities, and you own up to it. Which Reddit, whatever I can start trolling, you don't know who I am behind the computer, so I'm going to do whatever I want, and just inspire the anger to nobody,
But I went on Reddit to post anonymously because sometimes I want to not be John Tesser, the LinkedIn dude. Sometimes I just want to be this other side of myself that I can't present. So that's why I created this. But I think it's still an interesting idea that even within one day, I was able to create a community and bring them into the content that they want. I think it shows that this other identity, right? This other focused thing where you're like, what do they really care about? What do they really want? How is it that I know something that's going to add value to them? Yeah. That's how you build a community. If you make it about yourself, no one cares about you. Like, and I make this point all the time. Like, they could take or leave you, but they want that thing that gives them value that they can take away.
Yeah, love that. This is gold, guys. Like, always think about your audience, always think about what they want, always providing a value. This is what John is saying. So John, I'm so curious, since I'm not following you on Reddit, which is totally my fault. So what have you posted there?
I'm not allowed to talk about that because it's not something, it's a completely different side of John, but it's about controversial issues that I don't feel comfortable talking about LinkedIn on either my regular blog or on LinkedIn. But it's another side of myself that I get to express anonymously, and so that I don't feel like I'm holding it in. But I do talk about things that I care a lot about and I think a lot about, and I'm sharing that on Reddit. What that is, unfortunately, no one's going to ever know.
No problem. I fully respect that. But if you guys are interested to know what John is posting, I mean, me included, I will start stalking and try to find you. But again, you're in another name, so I don't think I will be able to find it after all.
I don't think so. And I don't mention anything about what I do on LinkedIn. So I think it's going to be even harder.
So, but that's all right. I'm pretty sure the audience will follow you and loving your content and continue knowing, like you said, authenticity, being real is so important when it comes to, creating content. And John, just want to learn more from you. And obviously, I know some of the audience here, including some of my clients, are pretty fresh and starting out to write great content here. And as you know, I mean, we've been friends on LinkedIn for a while now. And you know, for a fun fact, there's only 1% on LinkedIn, it's content creator. And 90%, I always call them, it's not troller, but stroller, which stroll and consume content. And perhaps like engaging by just liking and not even commenting, right? And another 8% there is just engaging, posting not consistently. So what are some of the biggest advice you could give to people that just starting off on LinkedIn and perhaps starting their very first post?
Okay, that's a tough one. Again, I think, and this is the piece of advice that I give. You know, I've been at this content game. I publish 2 pieces of content a day, which is excessive. I don't think anybody is doing that.
No,
and it doesn't exhaust me. And Salina can attest. I'm proud of the stuff I put out on LinkedIn. I don't think I've ever put out a bad post where it's like not like it doesn't make sense or it's not good or like it doesn't make you think. Like every single thing I put out, I'm pretty proud of, right? Otherwise I wouldn't put it out. I have very high standards. So what is a good post on LinkedIn, I think is the question. The thing is that I ask people to try this thought exercise and they don't want to do it. They fight me on it, but then they try it and they see amazing results and they're like, wow, John, that was great. It's this idea of writing with emotion. And what that means is when you sit down to write the post, you know, maybe you have an idea in your head. And instead of like thinking it through every idea and like, you know, putting in like little icons and all the stuff that I see on LinkedIn to like make stuff, just write with how you feel and just let the post be written. And that's my number one piece of advice, which is to if you want to connect with people, you want them to read it. They want to feel when you're writing something. And if you're not writing with that emotion and that feeling, they're going to sense that. And they're going to scroll right by and they're not going to engage and you're not going to get the views that you want. I've had a lot of people really hate that I say this. And they say, yeah, well, you know, John, you don't need to get clients and, you know, you don't have to, I got to write this and, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay.
Actually, I agree. Your system actually works so well. Like you need to write, I mean, would I call it emotionally, making sure human content, because after all, people don't understand. I mean, it's not personable. Nobody's going to interact with your content. It's not purely professional content that works on LinkedIn. Actually, the more that you put yourself out there and be more personable about your story, the better it is.
Right.
So I totally agree that something that works very well on LinkedIn.
But it's an interesting thing though, Salina, because it has to be personal, but it has to not be about yourself. That's the paradox that I don't think most people have figured out on LinkedIn. So when you're writing a personal story, you're doing it to connect with people because you know that they've gone through something similar. There's a shared humanness there with what you're sharing. So when you're saying I write with emotion, you're not saying I ran out of the house and I tripped and I, you know, couldn't get up. Like that's not interesting, right? Unless there's like something that connects to the human spirit or to your community. So it is a little tricky to get there, but that's why, you know, the other thing that you said is you got to experiment and you got to try and you got to look at those metrics and you got to see what works. Yeah.
I got a really interesting question for you, John. Faisal joined us. Thank you, Faisal, for joining us. He's asking, John, what kind of content should we not post on LinkedIn? Thank you.
Yeah, I think there are limits to acceptable content. I would say stay away from anything political and don't weigh in. It's just not going to accomplish anything, and it's not personal. The problem I have with political content is unless you're working for like the ACLU or a certain cause, you know, if you're talking about your opinions on, let's say, Donald Trump or something going on in America, you know, I don't know. I don't see LinkedIn as the place for that personally. If you've had success doing that, that's good. It means that you are going towards a more politically oriented crowd. That's fine. I just don't see it there. I would stay away from any, if you guys know me, I'd stay away from any sort of disparaging comments about the company that you work for. Whenever I speak of my company, it is always in a glowing light and the great things that they're doing. And that's not because I'm trying to be a kiss ass. It's because the LinkedIn is not an appropriate place to trash your employer. It's just, you just don't do it, right? That should be really obvious. And I think people know that. And I'm trying to think what else is not appropriate. I mean, I've gone there with so many different things that it's really hard for me to say what's not appropriate. I talk about gender relations. I talk about, you know, a lot of really controversial stuff. I talk about, you know, what I think about diversity and talk about privilege. I talk about, you know, so like being angry and negative emotions. I think you can really push the boundaries of where to go more than you think. Is that helpful?
Yeah, excellent point. I totally agree in terms of like pushing boundary as well as a topic that you're very passionate about, right?
Yeah.
Not necessary or like it's controversial, but it's not something that it's, like you said, political topics that is very sensitive, right? Especially on a professional platform. Just not something that it's smart to do. And the other thing that you please go ahead.
I think it gets back to the anonymous persona. I'm writing about stuff that is just not appropriate for LinkedIn because people aren't open-minded enough to accept what I'm saying. It's not that I don't think it's valuable content, and it is stuff that I think is really great, Faisal. It's just that I know that people won't be able to put aside their preconceived notions of what I'm saying to read it in an objective light. You have to know what those limits are, like where you're gonna put something out, and then the audience is gonna really fight it back at you and say you're a certain type of person for doing it. You might want to be careful with that. I wouldn't start with the controversial stuff right away. I would lean into it over time and test limits on what you can do and what you can get away with.
I love that, John. It's very, very important, especially for a content creator that fresh start, like we talked about earlier. You should really test and experiment what content works for you, even if your language or what you're trying to post is a little bit more controversial. You can do that, but in a later stage. Totally agree.
Yeah.
And Faisal, thank you so much for the question. And Faisal said, thank you with a green heart. Same to you.
I got a green heart. Excellent.
Yes. And Faisal, I want to add one more point on top of what John is saying, which is super, super valuable. It's since I worked for LinkedIn before, one of the things that we always share with our clients as well as users is to go back to the community policy of LinkedIn. They have addressed very specifically what type of things that they don't want to see from the members. And I know our APAC leadership just update a post regarding to that. It's like anything related to COVID-19, especially about the update about vaccine, they do not want to see it. So if you are to write relevant current affairs, just to try to stay a little bit away with anything related to COVID. I hope that is helpful for you. And Anna saying resonate with a lot from this conversation with Star. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you. Yay.
You're getting a double thumbs up and a dance, Anna. Yeah. I'm glad you like it. I'm enjoying it. My host is amazing. Wow.
Oh, thank you. My special guest.
I wouldn't be able to do this without Salina, the Unlock Your Full Potential master here. So all credit is to her.
You unlocked. Just so with the letters. Anyway, that's my nickname from John, and I'm loving it.
UYF.
Great, guys. Yes, UYFP. That's mine. Guys, if you have any questions, I'm going to open the floor up since, John is here with me. And I really hope that you guys could learn so much from, his way of building his amazing engaged community. Really check out his content. I can guarantee you will love it. Like he said, you're going to have something taking away as well as loads of insight. So make sure you follow John here. And if you have any questions around content creating, how to build a very engaging community, feel free to send your question down. In the meantime, I am enjoying my chat with John. Faisal said, oops, I better delete my COVID post then. I love that. Great. I also want to wrap up earlier by, how to start writing your first post. I mean, just getting down to the nitty gritty. I mean, John, feel free to just interrupt me if you think that's not a good advice to start with. I always share with my clients to think about 4C, which is, I know, a little bit cheesy, how you craft your content. The first is compelling. The second is being concise. The last is,
concise.
Yeah,
concise, guys.
Yeah, and then
like
this.
Go ahead. No, I gotta mention the thing about concise. So the reason my content resonates, this is the thing I challenge myself with every day. It's this idea of few words, big idea. How much meaning can you put into your posts with as few words as possible? No one wants to read your text wall of vomit. Sorry, I'm gonna have to say it like that.
No, I love that.
Really short, and they want to understand something because they're scrolling through real fast. So concise and brief, but big idea and interesting, that's gonna win the game all day.
Love that. Yes. So guys, remember to be concise. Usually I would recommend to have like maximum 10 to 15 lines. And if you can even that out, like what John had been saying, then it's really easy for your reader to take a look, as well as if they're checking your post through mobile, that will be a really easy way for them to take a look at that. So I talk about compelling. Second is concise. Credible, which I think it's back to John's point, is being real and as well as being authentic, right? You won't want to build a story out of nothing that it's not real about yourself. And last but not least is change. Like you need to be open about changing your strategies when it's not working, because not every strategy is going to be the same. Everything will be different. Because everyone have different friends, everyone have different circle of connection. If you are trying to do everything the same, copying all the influencer, sometimes it might not work for you. So making sure to remember this 4C. I know, again, it's a little bit cheesy with this 4C, but it's always worked. So compelling, concise, credible, and change. Guys, I will give you guys 5 more extra minutes. If you have any questions, we'd love to open the floor up, and I'm going to continue asking John for more tips about, some of the common mistakes that you see people are having on LinkedIn. I know we talk so much about like sales, and I have read so much amazing posts, John, from you about like people just sending you requests or connection requests, just selling you directly, which I get it every single day and it's super annoying. I would say that's one of the common mistakes that people, please, 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 for the love of God, please just not to do that anymore. What are some of the common mistakes that you find on LinkedIn that people should be getting rid of?
I'm just gonna talk about. I use LinkedIn very strangely, Salina. I use it as a place to connect with people and to get diverse perspectives. People hate that about me. That's fine. I'm not here to please anyone. But it does lead me back to answering your question. Why? What mistakes do people make? And when people approach me as somebody who's gonna do something for them in some way, I shut them out. I'm like, I'm not here to meet your needs and the things you need. That's not my goal, right? If you want to connect, and then the other thing that really annoys me that young professionals do, they're like, I see you work in data. Okay, but you didn't take the time to learn anything about me. Look, how many lives I've done, like, I don't know, 30 podcast appearances at this point. I see you work in data isn't going to work for me because you didn't really look to understand who I am. You didn't ask me about my particular experience. You didn't even look at NYC & Company, which is where I work, and you didn't try and understand what is that. Like, you just said, I see you work in data. Well, you're lazy, and I'm not going to answer that question, right? So it's this combination of not seeing me as a person, as somebody who's going to do something for you. And I tell young professionals all the time, I'm like, I have a policy that if you ask me for a job or a referral, sorry, I'll give you a chance, but we're probably not going to talk again because like you're just seeing me as somebody who's going to do something for you. And then like you're trying to network. You're trying to network through career, and that's not how I like to play things. I like to connect through being a person. And if we want to talk about career stuff later down the road, that's cool. But I make this point all the time in my posts. Like I sound like a literal broken record because I make these points about human connection and don't use me for something. Yeah. Those are the two no-nos. I don't get as many sales things, Salina, because the salespeople don't know what to sell me. They're like, I don't know who this guy is or what he's worth selling. But I do get young people who think they should connect to me because I'm going to get them a job in data. Let's just be really clear. And I'm never, ever going to do that. I'm only going to do that for people that I know and trust and have gotten to know as people and have gotten to see their work. Because if I'm going to refer you for something, Salina, I have to know you. My reputation is on the line. And if I don't know you and I don't know the work you do, why am I going to refer you? Why am I going to do that for a stranger? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. This is an excellent point, guys. Like, I mean, obviously, John are in the data segment and you're the VP of Research and Insight at NYC. And like I said, like there's people, sales approaching me, or there's career or job seeker approaching John. Make sure to really build that trust. That's the most fundamental thing when it comes to really on LinkedIn. This is a game. Not even a game, but it's a platform to build deeper relationships.
That's right.
And you just go directly and, you know, with a hidden agenda and trying to exchange without really getting to know the person in real life is not going to be successful for you.
And let me do a compliment bomb for Salina, right? I'm on this chat because I like Salina as a person. We connected as people. And then she reached out to me this morning and said, John, help me. And I'm like, I don't know if I can. And, you know, then last second, you know, I got some childcare and I was able to hop in. And I did this because I'm very, well, I don't even need to be thanked, but I'm trying to prove the point here that people will help you out. It's just not going to be right away. Salina came into a conversation with me just saying, I have a lot of personality. That's what Salina was like subconsciously telling me. You know, she's like, and I'm like, I really like her energy. I cannot wait to hop on a chat with her. And then we've been chatting basically every day ever since. And so now we have a relationship. And because of that, Salina can come and ask me for shit like this. And I'm going to be like, yeah, of course. And like, it doesn't even feel like I'm doing her a favor because I know she would jump in and help me anytime the same way.
Well, and
that's why these relationships are important.
True, so true. So guys, I agree. Like just really develop a connection in the deeper level with another person is so important. And John, it still remains, if you're ever in Luxembourg, beyond what you could say sausage and bread, like the whole week meal if you are into French food. I remember you don't like cheese.
I like French food.
I take into the account of not too much dairy product for you.
Oh, I love dairy. What are you talking about? I eat a ton of dairy.
I remember you told me you're trying to be staying healthy.
No, I live on whole milk, Salina. You didn't remember me? Oh my God, I'm so insulted right now, guys.
Oh no, so I must be mixing. Okay, my apologies.
I'm not insulted.
French food all day.
Yes.
For a whole week.
I'm down.
Great. Cool. Guys, we're down to 3 minutes. I know there's quite a number of people joining us on Clubhouse, which is fantastic, as well as people on LinkedIn. Guys, I just want to say massive thank you for tuning in to my LinkedIn live show together with my special extra guest, John here. I know you guys have already amazing questions asking, and thank you, Anna, Fasel, Anthony, Kyle, Car, and some LinkedIn users. Sorry, I guess we're not connected. That's why you appear as LinkedIn user. But if you want to connect with John, please go ahead and follow him because his content is amazing, as well as you will learn so much about LinkedIn with him. And also, if you're like also very interested with what the In Academy is doing, please make sure to follow me as well as the In Academy company when you want to learn some of the most latest LinkedIn hacks and tips. So I want to close off by, a really beautiful note. I mean, whatever that we've been discussing today with John is really about authenticity, about human to human connection, as well as really like building that trust, right? And these are the 3 key points that I find throughout our discussion is the highlighting things. And I hope that you guys could take this away to use it within your LinkedIn strategies. And next time, if you're really into looking into connecting with people, even though you have something in mind that you want to sell to your clients or something that you want to ask, make sure you connect with another person first before you ask. I always say give before you take. It's a very simple thing. And yeah, and thank you so much for joining, guys. And John, any final advice or final word that you want to share with the audience?
No, I think this was awesome. And I hope that you guys learned a couple things and are going to try some new stuff. And yeah, if you listen to the show and you like what I'm all about, reach out to me and follow and connect. And I look forward to new relationships based on people listening to this. So thank you for tuning in and hearing this bearded guy ramble on about, stuff that I care about.
No, I'm sure everyone loves you, and I can see it with the comments as well. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we're exactly 1 hour. And guys, thank you so much again for joining. If you are really interested to join us for more LinkedIn live show, make sure you follow me, and we will be coming back next week, same time, and bring in a new guest. Today, we're just so lucky to catch John. And John, thank you so much for sharing all your amazing golden nuggets with my audience as well as your audience today.
Loved it. All right. Take care, everybody.
Great. Take care, guys. Have a great home day. Bye.